Okay, something different, something that isn't just, hey guys,
Sup? Sup, dog?
what up,
What up?
dog? This is New Script on the Block. More specifically, this is Before the Scene, where we take a big blockbuster script, read it, and then watch the scene and talk about their differences. Okay,
I really want the editor to drop like a beat on this intro, but like, you know, something different and more edgy than our regular music.
So whether you're listening to Before the Scene, or you're listening to us interview independent filmmakers, or anything else that we do on this podcast, you can subscribe here every week on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to leave us a comment or anything that tells us what it is that you want to hear more of. And yeah, is that everything? Is that all the housekeeping?
How'd you feel about it?
Say it's spooky. It's for the spookiness of the spooky release of spookiness.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Woo!
It's like an intro from Casper, the Friendly Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going for.
Spooky would sound like, yeah.
Boo! Did I scare you? Okay. So I don't think I said what we were reading today. So we are reading Silence of the Lambs.
Classic.
Something I have not seen. Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. Has anyone else seen this movie?
I haven't.
Oh, we need a watch party, man. We definitely need it. This is a good one.
Do you like this movie, Alyssa?
I love this movie. It's one of my favorites.
Wow, I didn't know it was like a favorite.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I've only watched it twice. I do enjoy it. I would say that I'll say this, I'm a weirdo, and I know that it's not a better movie cinematically, but I would still say that Scream, like the first Scream movie, is probably like my top number one. But Silence of the Lambs is definitely somewhere in my top 5 horror, I'm sure.
I feel like that Scream and you saying Silence of the Lambs is up there. Are you a slasher girl? Are you into those slashers?
Yeah. Oh, for sure, man. I mean, the original Friday the 13th is probably number 2. Yeah, I'd say I mostly go for slasher movies. Yeah. Okay.
That's Alyssa, everybody. All you serial killers out there, just so you know.
See, that's, Ryan really wants us to have a house someday, and I always get uncomfortable when we house sit for people because I don't like big houses. And it's definitely 100% because of all the slasher movies I watched as a kid.
Alyssa.
Right.
Stay strapped or get clapped. Just saying. Well, anyway, okay, so I'm narrating. Cool, everyone good to go?
Mm-hmm.
For you listeners out there, all you cool cats and kittens, we are on page 7 of Silence of the Lambs, and we'll have a link, right? We'll have a link posted, so if they want to check it out, link will be posted. And
in the description on our YouTube and our SoundCloud.
Hey, little fun fact though. I found the original script, which was a scan. Like, I'm sure they typed it not on an actual app or computer or whatever. They typed it,
Right. Nobody had computers back in 1991.
No. Not a good one, at least. Anyway, here you go. It was a cool scan. But this is clean. Here we go. Interior, Asylum. Sorry. Interior.
Elysium.
Sorry, I'm thinking of a different movie. My bad.
I was going to say, you're thinking of that other movie.
Okay. Interior, asylum, corridor, upper floor, day. Clarice flinches as a heavy steel gate clangs shut behind her, the bolt shooting home. Chilton walks ahead of her.
Lecter carved up 9 people that we're sure of, and cooked his favorite bids. We've tried to study him, of course, but he's too sophisticated for the standard tests. And my, does he hate us. Thinks I'm his nemesis. Crawford's very clever, isn't he? Using you?
How do you mean, Dr. Chilton?
A pretty young woman to turn him on? I don't believe Lecter's even seen a woman in 8 years. And are you even his taste, so to speak?
I graduated magna from UVA, doctor. It's not a charm school.
Good. Then you should be able to remember the rules.
Cut to interior, different corridor, lower floor. Day. A darker, even grimier area. Heavy grids over the lights. Distant slammings and faint, hoarse shouts. They walk briskly.
Do not reach through the bars, do not touch the bars. You pass him nothing but soft paper. No pens or pencils, no staples or paper clips in his paper. Use the sliding food carrier, no exceptions. Do not accept anything he attempts to hold out to you. Do you understand me?
I understand.
I'm going to show you why we insist on such precautions. On the afternoon of July 8, 1981, he complained of chest pains and was taken to the dispensary. His mouthpiece and restraints were removed for an EKG. When the nurse bent over him, he did this to her.
He hands Clarice a small, dog-eared photo. Looking at it, she is stopped in her tracks. This pleases Chilton.
The doctors managed to reset her jaw, more or less, and save one of her eyes. His pulse never got over 80, 85, even when he ate her tongue. I keep him in here.
He turns, pushes a button. A steel door buzzes slowly open, and Barney, a big, impassive orderly, awaits them in an anteroom. On its walls, restraints, mouthpieces, mace, tranquilizer guns.
Dr. Chilton, if Lecter feels you're his enemy, as you've said, then maybe them? Them, maybe? Then?
That's
maybe?
definitely a typo.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to start over. All right. Dr. Chilton, if Lecter feels you're his enemy, as you've said, then maybe I'll have more luck by myself. What do you think?
You might have suggested that in my office and saved me time.
But then I would have missed the pleasure of your company.
She holds out the photo, a beat. He grabs it, jaw twitching.
When she's finished, bring her out.
He turns on his heel, goes. Barney smiles reassuringly.
Hi, I'm Barney. He told you. Don't get near the bars.
Clarice Starling. Yes, he did.
Okay. Past the others. It's the last cell. Stay to the middle. I put out a chair for you.
Sensing her attention, he indicates a nearby security monitor.
I'm watching. You'll be fine.
Clarice nods gratefully. She looks down the long corridor, takes a deep breath, walks into it. He watches her go. Cut to interior Dr. Lecter's corridor, day. Moving shot, with Clarice as her footsteps echo. High to her right, surveillance cameras. On her left, cells. Some are padded with narrow observation slits. Others are normal, barred. Shadowy occupants pacing, muttering. Suddenly, a dark figure in the next to last cell hurtles towards her. His face smashing grotesquely against his bars as he hisses, "I can smell your cunt." Clarice flinches momentarily, but then walks on. Dr. Lecter's cell is coming slowly into view. Behind its barred front wall is a second barrier of stout nylon net, sparse bolted down furniture, many soft-cover books and papers. On the walls, extraordinarily detailed, skillful drawings, mostly European cityscapes in charcoal or crayon. Clarice stops at a police distance from his bars, clears her throat.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. May I talk with you?
Dr. Hannibal Lecter is lounging on his bunk, in white pajamas, reading an Italian Vogue. He turns, considers her. A face so long out of the sun, it seems almost bleached. I guess that might have been bleached. Except for the glittering eyes and the wet, red mouth. He rises smoothly, crossing to stand before her, the gracious host. His voice is cultured, soft. Good morning. Cutting between them as Clarice comes a measured distance closer.
Doctor, we have a hard problem in psychological profiling. I want to ask for your help with the questionnaire.
We, being the behavioral science unit at Quantico, you're one of Jack Crawford's, I expect.
I am, yes.
May I see your credentials? Clarice is surprised, but fishes her ID card from her bag, holds it up for his inspection. He smiles, soothingly. He smiles soothingly. Closer, please. Closer. She complies each time, trying to hide her fear. Dr. Lecter's nostrils lift as he gently, like an animal, tests the air. Then he smiles, glancing at her card. That expires in 1 week. You're not real FBI, are you?
I'm still in training at the academy.
Jack Crawford sent a trainee to me.
We're talking about psychology, doctor, not the Bureau. Can you decide for yourself whether or not I'm qualified?
That's rather slippery of you, Officer Starling. Sit, please. She sits in the folding metal desk chair. He waits politely till she's settled, then sits down himself, faces her happily. Now then, what did Miggs say to you? Multiple Miggs, in the next cell. He hissed at you. What did he say?
He said, I can smell your cunt.
I see. I myself cannot. You use Evian skin cream, and sometimes you wear La Temps. Le Air de Temps. Okay, hold on. I see. I see. I myself cannot. You use Evian skin cream, and sometimes you wear La Air de Temps. But not today. You brought your best bag, though, didn't you?
Yes.
It's much better than your shoes,
Maybe I'll catch up.
says Dale.
Dale?
Read that over.
Maybe I'll catch up?
Yeah, except it says Vale.
Are you okay?
Oh, no.
Clarice Sterling, are you okay?
Clearly, I cannot read today. All right, third time's a charm. Maybe they'll catch up.
I have no doubt of it.
It's contagious.
I have no doubt of it.
Did you do those drawings, Doctor?
Yes, that's the... Oh, gosh. Duomo?
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 I don't know.
Yes, that's the Duomo, seen from the Belvedere. Do you know Florence?
All that detail, just from memory?
Memory, Officer Sterling, is what I have instead of you. A pause. Then Clarice takes the questionnaire from her case.
Dr. Lecter, if you'd please consider...
No. You were doing fine. You'd been courteous and receptive to courtesy. You'd established trust with the embarrassing truth about Miggs, and now this ham-handed sig into your questionnaire? It won't do. It's stupid and boring.
It's Segway?
Segway. Ah, that's how you spell Segway. All right, I'm going to start from the top. All right. No. You were doing fine. You'd been courteous and receptive to courtesy. You'd established trust with the embarrassing truth about Miggs, and now this ham-handed segue into your questionnaire? It won't do. It's stupid and boring.
I'm only asking you to look at this, Doctor. Either you will or you won't.
Jack Crawford must be very busy indeed if he's recruiting help from the student body. Busy hunting that new one. Buffalo Bill? Such a naughty boy. Did Crawford send you to ask for my advice on him?
No, I came because we need...
How many women has he used, our Bill?
5 so far.
All flayed?
Partially, yes. But Doctor, that's an active case. I'm not involved.
Do you know why he's called Buffalo Bill? Tell me. The newspapers won't say.
I'll tell you if you'll look at this form. It started as a bad joke in Kansas City homicide. They said, this one likes to skin his humps. I'm going to read that again. It started as a bad joke in Kansas City homicide. They said, this one likes to skin his humps.
Witless and misleading. Why do you think he takes their skins, Officer Sterling? Thrill me with your wisdom.
It excites him. Most serial killers keep some sort of trophies.
I didn't.
No, you ate yours.
A tense beat, then a smile from him at this small bolus. Send that through. She rolls him the questionnaire and his sliding food tray. He rises, glances at it, turning a page or two disdainfully. Oh, Officer Sterling, do you think you can dissect me with this blunt little tool?
No, I only hoped that your knowledge...
Suddenly, he whips the tray back at her with a metallic clang that makes her start. His voice remains a pleasant purr. You're so ambitious, aren't you? You know what you look like to me with your good bag and your cheap shoes? You look like a rube, a well-scrubbed, hustling rube with a little taste. Good nutrition has given you some length. Good nutrition has given you some length of bone, but you're not more than one generation from poor white trash, are you, Officer Sterling? That accent you're trying so desperately to shed, pure West Virginia? What was your father, dear? Was he a coal miner? Did he stink of the lamp? And oh, how quickly the boys found you! All those tedious, sticky fumblings in the back seats of cars while you could only dream of getting out, getting anywhere. Yes, getting all the way to the FBI. His every word has struck her like a tiny, precise dart, but she squares her jaw and won't give ground.
You see a lot, Dr. Lecter. But are you strong enough to point that high-powered perception at yourself? How about it? Look at yourself and write down the truth. Or maybe you're afraid to.
You're a tough one, aren't you?
Reasonably so, yes.
And you'd hate to think you were common. My, wouldn't that sting? Well, you're far from common, Officer Sterling. All you have is a fear of it. Now please excuse me. Good day.
And the questionnaire?
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fafa beans and a nice Chianti. Chianti. Yeah, Chianti?
Chianti.
Chianti.
He said
Right.
Chianti.
Chianti. A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fafa beans and a nice Chianti. Fly back to school, little Sterling. He steps backwards, then returns to his cot, becoming as still and remote as a statue. Frustrated, Clarice hesitates, then finally shoulders her bag and goes, leaving the questionnaire in his tray, but after just a few steps as she passes. Meg's cell. She sees the creature at his bars again, hissing at her. I bit my wrist so I can die. See how it bleeds? The dark figure suddenly flings his palm towards her, and Clarice is splattered on the face and neck, not with blood, but with pale droplets of semen. She gives a little cry, touching her fingers to the wetness. Stunned, near tears, she forces herself to straighten up and walk on, fumbling for a tissue. From behind her, Dr. Lecter calls out, very agitated. Officer Sterling? Officer Sterling? Clarice slows, stops. She shudders but makes the very difficult choice to turn, walk back, stand again in front of. Who's shivering with rage? For an instant his face opens and we catch a glimpse into hell itself. Then he's composed again. I would not have had that happen to you. Discourtesy is unspeakingly ugly to me.
Then please, do this test for me.
No, but I will make you happy. I'll give you a chance for what you love most, Clarice Starling.
What's that, Dr. Lecter?
Advancement, of course. Go to Split City. See Miss Moffat, an old patient of mine. Moffet. Now go. Go! I don't think Miggs could manage again so soon, even if he is crazy. Do you? And then that's it. That's the bit.
Wow. Gross.
Man.
Oh boy.
So any thoughts, Graham?
To be honest, I was pretty bored at the beginning. It seems like one of those movies that's very slow paced. So, I don't know. I guess I was a little bored, but I guess this probably isn't one of the more exciting scenes in the movie. Kind of more build
I
up.
would.
Yeah.
I am waiting for you to watch the scene and see how you change your mind. Maybe change your mind. I don't know if you will, but
It's a slow-paced film, but it is like a high tension.
Okay. I mean, I could totally see where it's high tension, especially that one part on page 14 where Dr. Lecter like completely goes off. Like I could see how that's like very intense. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not big on like, I guess just seems like there's a lot of explaining and them both trying to figure things out, or I guess Dr. Lecter trying to like get in her head. But I don't know. I could see this being good.
Yeah, I think that it's a very psychological scene. So I think that when you watch it, you'll get a feel for the pacing more so, but it's not, I'll agree, like, it's not for everyone. You know, it is a very slow-paced crime drama that has just very vivid and horrific elements to it. I almost think that it's, you know, it is a horror, but it's almost hard to call it that because the intensity is all much more in the mind and psychological elements than the physical elements to me.
And I'm gonna probably say this after we or bring it back up after we watch the scene, but there is a good video essay of the cinematography for the scene, and Graham, as a DP as well and camera operator, you would I think you would enjoy it. So
okay,
we'll save that for later. But
did Ashley say whether or not she'd seen this?
I have not seen it.
Okay, and how about you?
Oh yeah, she hasn't seen it, right? Okay.
Wait, how about you?
Oh,
who does that
Nero?
go to?
No, I know Nero has seen it. I meant Ashley. How about you? Like, what were your thoughts, like, on initial read?
Oh, well, this is the only scene that I'm familiar with. I never really knew what they were discussing, like why she had to go talk to him. In the script, it doesn't really quite say. I mean, it does say why she's there, but not to the full extent, I feel like. Or maybe I just missed it. I don't know what to say. Just that,
right.
Yeah, it just sounds like a lot of just back and forth dialogue of like trying to get a sense of how this Dr. Lecter operates and, you know, why he's dangerous. And it just, it goes to show that he's very intelligent. He notices things that most people don't, and, you know, he shouldn't be taken lightly.
So I think at the beginning of the scene, Nero, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they do discuss, or she outright states to Lecter that she's here because they need help profiling, an active crime.
Yeah.
And he's you guys don't necessarily have all the background, but he is a psychiatrist who used to help with criminal profiling before, he was incarcerated.
Okay.
Got it.
So the hope in this scene is she's coming to him to get him to take a look at a case file and help them try to better understand who is this person so that we can start trying to uncover who the primary suspects would be.
Got it.
Nero, do you have anything you want to say about the script before we dive in?
I mean, I'm just a fan of this genre, and I think what's pretty powerful is how it was written in terms of like build up. Like there's all this like before even seeing Hannibal Lecter, Clarice had to like go through a barrage of like chilling things from Chilton, and Chilton it says it like he smiles after he like shows her like the photo. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna freak her out. It seems like from on the script and from writing, it's like Chilton is like just kind of like making power moves to like make Clarice like feel inadequate. Like there's
for sure.
There's it's like, I'm coming in with you, but then Clarice is like, no, I mean I'm going in alone, and he seems like, well, I'm his nemesis, like I should be in there doing the thing too, but then I just like that build up of like Chilton like kind of being an ass to like put Clarice in her place, and then we have like the contrast of Barney, who's just an orderly. He's like, hey, don't worry, I put a chair out for you, I'm watching the monitor, all that. So
I think something great about this film is the choice of a female lead and how it's used to expose like elements of sexism and rape culture inside of the system, and then also again, even with like these male murderers, like it's almost using her to be this sort of sexual symbol, but also at the same time Clarice is not, right? Like as a person, like she's a professional and she's very intelligent, she holds her own and she holds her ground. But yeah, I think that her gender, and even in just this scene alone, plays a big role in the storytelling in this film.
Yeah, and to go with that is like she has to maintain her, hey, I'm a of an authority figure to Dr. Lecter, even though Dr. Lecter's kind of like, teasing her here and there, but then also like I think she had to explain why he's called, why the serial killer that's active is called Buffalo Bill. Like she's referring to breasts. I don't know. I just think there's like that bit of tension of her explaining something that's like, demeaning and dehumanizing and to women, and she's a woman who has to say that,
Right. Well, the same with her repeating, what the MIG guy says as well. Like, it's almost like Lecter forces her to point out these things that are intentionally offensive and directed at the female gender.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good point, Alyssa.
I mean, you made it, man. I just wrapped up what you said.
Cool. Thanks for wrapping it up.
All right, so well, I'm excited to hop into this scene, and then we'll get back on this call. All right.
This podcast is brought to you by Arizona Studios. Arizona Studios, a full-service video content specialist. We're here to illuminate your message and compel your audience to take the right action. For more information, head to our website at arizonastudios.com and be sure to tune in for more content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Well, Graham, after watching it, do you feel any different?
I mean, I thought it was like a world of a difference. It was so much more intense, and even her walking down the hallway just had me on the edge of my seat. I definitely felt, I don't know if it's just the amount of text that the script used and just like big chunks of text that kind of bored me, but this was definitely a lot more interesting to me. And I think the camera, how it separates the characters and then it also is very close up during intense moments, I think there was a dramatic difference for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really great and vivid description of the elements of the scene and how they like bolster the intensity.
And even in moments, moments, like sometimes they'll break from just this intense eye contact and her trying to figure out information and him just kind of, scaring her. They'll break, like didn't she ask about his art or what was on his wall, and the camera completely cuts away and kind of relieves the tension, then it immediately starts back up when he starts talking again. So I think the scene was done very well and really complements the script.
Right. I think the same thing kind of happens like at the point where he goes to smell her scent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they explicitly direct it in the script, but in the scene, when he mentions, I don't smell that, and then he leans, like, stretches himself upward to sniff through these little creepy air holes they've got. Yeah, it's done so, like, the pacing is very slow in that moment, but it's also, like, we pan away from the character and our focus is on those little air holes, and even though we're not looking at his face or reaction, like, we just get this really uneasy uncomfortableness from knowing the scent traveling through the air holes and his attention to it.
Yeah, it's a very uneasy scene to get through, and I could actually see myself enjoying this. It's definitely a slow burn though, but I think I would enjoy it.
At that moment in the hallway, I know this is going to sound like an old lady because I was a small babe. Like, this movie came out before I was born, and then like I watched it as, I don't know, like a preteen. I honestly, like, watching it at the moment when it rolls up to his cell and we see Lecter for the first time, I don't know why, but my immediate thought was like, man, they don't make him like this anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Like him just standing there doing nothing.
I think it's just the way it's filmed and the color to it. I just think that even the fact that it's lit in a way that's not too dark, because it doesn't really need to be. I don't know, just
I see what you're saying.
To the movement in the hallway, like every element of it feels so like this just isn't the style of how we go about filming horror or suspense anymore, but this has such a great feeling again, like especially that slow roll movement when it reveals Lecter for the first time and the way he's framed out and the symmetry of the shot. It's great.
And they also
and then also it was, I think you're about to bring up what I was about to bring up of they changed it to where he wasn't laying down on his cot. He was up and standing and like waiting for her instead of like getting out of bed and like, and he also didn't sit down either. In the script, he sat down when she sat down, but he stayed standing up the whole time, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it's a very superiority thing.
Mhm.
Was that what you were going to say, Nero?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is there any particular detail that stood out to you, Graham?
Anything? What do you mean by stood out to me?
Just anything else about the scene that stood out to you?
I mean, the main thing was how close up they were. Like, the camera didn't care about anything else happening. There wasn't anything happening in the background that could have intensified the scene. It was just very important between their conversation. The camera was very aware of that until she tried to break the tension. I think that's the thing that really stood out to me is just how intense their conversation was. And the camera only broke off of that until one of the characters broke off. So the camera was almost one of the characters.
I love the emotions at the end of the scene, like when he starts pulling these very calm, like direct accusations of her biography, like trying to profile her effectively, and then her reaction, just her trying to keep her cool, but how well she uses her facials to make it obvious she's not, right? Like the tone in her voice, and it's not just the dialogue. Like you can see how intensely she's trying to stay calm and turn the table on him, but she's not.
Is there any scene that you enjoyed in particularly, Ashley?
Kind of like what Graham was saying, that it's not as slow paced as the script makes it seem like it would be. You're a little more, okay, what is he gonna do? Like you're almost like waiting for him to do something because of his reputation, but he just stands there and he just talks to her. Like he doesn't do anything to, warrant some sort of reaction from her other than giving some sort of background of her character and how she presents herself and whatever. Like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was...
I think I get what you're saying. Like, it's like nothing actually happens, but there's a constant fear of what will happen.
Yeah, like you're just like, you're tensed up because you're expecting something, but the most, I guess, alarming thing to happen in that scene doesn't even come from Lecter. It comes from the guy in the next cell. So it's like, oh,
that's
okay.
a really good point. Yeah.
And because I haven't seen the rest of the movie or the rest of that scene, and I never actually saw her leave, so that whole thing when she's leaving and the guy throwing the stuff, it was like, ugh, gross.
Robot Chicken does a really good parody on that. I'm gonna share it to you guys later. But I wanted to ask everyone: is there something you didn't like about the scene, and is that and if it compares to something that you did like in the script, or straying away from the script alone, is there something that you didn't like from the scene?
I mean, him smelling, like, okay, there's a lot that I didn't like because it made me feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean I didn't like it because it was good. Like, I think, like, this entire scene made me feel uncomfortable, just like Clarice, but I think it was done very well and I enjoyed it as a film, if that makes sense.
I could not name anything about this movie or this scene that I don't think was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I am biased.
Ash, do you have anything you didn't like about it?
I really don't know. I'd have to think about it for a second, and I know we're short on time, so I'm just gonna say pass.
Because I just found it very interesting that it's almost a 180 from what Graham was saying. I thought it was boring to, oh, this is good tension. So it's like, damn, it's like any screenwriter who's going to be like writing something is like, man, I hope this tension comes across, and it ends up reading as super boring, and then you might have lost an investor in something, and that might be the greatest fear that a writer has, is that you weren't able to convey that. But then visually, it's like bingo, we got it, but like it's like the points to the visual that was done, and negative points to like something that could have read off as boring.
Hey, but points to the producers for seeing like what this could be and actually making it.
Well, I haven't read the books, so I don't know like how directly connected it is. Like, I'm not sure when you read that how the feel is, and I don't know if I know that I don't know how directly intertwined they are. Like, I know there are books, but I don't know even if, like, The Silence of the Lambs, I'm not sure if that was one of the books or if that's just like a film that's based on the book franchise. Nero, do you know anything about that?
I actually forgot that there was a book, but now that you brought it up, it's like, oh, I think there was a book, yeah. So I didn't know. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm not sure if the books I saw on shelves were the adaptation of the movie or the movie actually came from that. Yeah. So I have no idea.
So I think that Red Dragon was actually the first in the book franchise. That's just not the order the movies were released in. Silence of the Lambs looks like it was the second book, and then that was followed by Hannibal, and then there was the Hannibal Lecter. Oh no, that is just a release of all three of them together, and then after that was the Hannibal Rising, and they were by Thomas Harris. If anyone ever wants to go out and check out the books.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, because I haven't read the original text, I'm not really sure if a lot of, again, typically with book adaptations, what happens is that, a production company gets a hold of the IP for the books, like they pay some sort of licensing fee to the original author, and then they will take that and they'll have a, credible screenwriter of their selection come in and write the adaptation. So chances are that the producers saw the potential more so in the original author's writing, and then they worked hand in hand with a screenwriter to build the screenplay adaptation around that. But again, because I haven't read the book, I don't know how alike or unalike they are.
Gotcha. Well, now I'm curious, and I might dive in and see, look specifically in the book for these pages.
Time to start Arizona Studios Book Club, yeah?
Oh my God.
Oh crap, we're starting a new series? What?
Can it be a movie? It's when we look at books and decide if this is even good enough to be a movie.
Right. I couldn't even tear apart any elements of this film just because I'm too close to it. Nero, did you have anything about it that you liked better in the script or that you wish they'd done differently?
I just know, when you get such a prolific actor as, oh my gosh, what is his name? The guy who plays Hannibal.
Anthony Hopkins.
There we go. This movie kind of, really cement himself as, probably a iconic actor, a character actor, because he added the bits of the sound or whatever,
yeah,
I don't even know what to call that, the tongue sound with his mouth or whatever, that wasn't in the script, and I don't even know if it was in the movie, but that's something he felt needed to be added, or maybe the director felt needed to be added. Who knows? I don't know if he's the one who did that.
Right.
As
he was maybe wanting to give some sort of reaction from, or get a certain reaction from the actress after doing that. Who knows?
I mean, I think both of these actors obviously are iconic in these roles and do such a phenomenal job. But I would say, especially to someone like Graham, because I know this will be right up your alley. Even the Mads Mikkelsen adaptation of the character in the series Hannibal.
Oh yeah, boy!
Also phenomenal.
Hannibal the series.
Yeah. Yeah, delectable.
Yes.
Quite. For sure.
Quenching.
So. Yeah, he's a great character, and I think that it's great getting to see in our lifetime two different actors portray it so well.
And differently,
And yeah.
Besides that, they're geniuses or whatever, but they do behave differently.
Yeah, I think the physicality is unique.
Yeah. I sent links to Graham, but I want to plug this in for our listeners who might be interested because, if we have writers here, we might have writers who are also DPs, or maybe some DPs are listening to this, but there's a video essay on YouTube from a YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting, and it does a really good segment on Silence of the Lambs. It's titled Silence of the Lambs, Who Wins the Scene? And it's talking about cinematography in terms of like what Graham was mentioning, close-ups and the camera moving away from close-ups and to drawings, but then it gets back to a different frame that's claustrophobic and whatnot. So it's a really good video essay in terms of like this scene specifically and how they approached it visually. And maybe that's why we get such a good vibe and a good energy from watching the scene, and from what Alyssa was saying, like how Hannibal's revealed is like you don't make these they don't make movies like this anymore. So that might be a good way to kind of like study the cinematography of it through that YouTube video. And then there's another one, if I can quickly plug this one in. There's a YouTube channel called Now You See It, and it's a segment called Writing Woman, and it does a really good video essay on Clarice's character and how she's written as a woman in a male-dominated world of serial killers and the FBI. So I just want to plug those in.
I'm going to have to re-listen to this episode just to go find...
I'll send it to you guys, too.
Yeah. Send us those links, man. We can link those in the description on our YouTube and our SoundCloud. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and then head over when you're in a safe spot to our SoundCloud or YouTube to check those links out. Well, thanks so much for listening. This has been an episode of New Script on the Block where we did the segment Before the Scene, and we talked about the film Silence of the Lambs. If you want to hear more episodes like this, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Stay tuned every week. We drop new episodes via audio on Wednesdays and a new animated version of the episode out on our YouTube channel at Arizona Studios on YouTube every Thursday. If you tune in every week and you listen to the many different shows that we have running, do leave us a comment and let us know what segments you like the best. We want to hear more from you guys, and leave us a comment about your favorite scenes in movies that you want us to read next on the show. All right, I think that covers about everything. Thank you for listening, and you'll hear us next time.